Let's try this again. I've just tried doing this, and I tried doing a challenge mode just to have some background visual, and I got too caught up in that. I'm Dezaras Prime. This is part 2 of my State of Everything address, and today we are covering Transformers the Soap. Now, I'm not going into the story mode yet or anything because, like I said, I got distracted last time. I'm going to go into a lot of detail about why I stopped doing Transformers the Soap. It wasn't because I didn't want to. It was because of a lot of factors. One being my collection grew, meaning you think, yeah, more cast, there's more people to use in the videos and stuff. Less room though, and that's become a major issue, space. And I don't mean my space backdrop that I will always and forever use. I mean, I didn't have a lot of room to record this shit. So that's one. Even though I haven't been doing the soap, I've still been collecting Transformers and Lego. Mainly Lego lately, actually. A few Transformers, I've picked up a few Titans, Fort Max, Optimus Prime. But, where was I? Kind of lost my train of thought again. Yeah, so room was an issue. Another issue was the Dark Savior, DCUO machinima stuff that I do. That kind of took over everything. And a few things about Dark Savior, the series that I do. In a lot of ways, it's easier to do because it's just on a screen. You set up your PC, and you know I have 2 PCs and a PS4 and a PS3. You set them up, and you do everything on the screen. A little bit of clutter maybe, but you know it's just the computers and the controllers, mouses, keyboards, etc., etc. But it kind of felt a lot easier to do that. On the flip side, it is an open world MMO, and there is a PvP phase that I need to use sometimes, and sometimes bastards come along and just ruin everything. But you know, I signed up for PvP for those occasions. I know what I'm getting myself into. Sorry, I've got hiccups. Whereas with Transformers a Soap, in terms of production with that, I'd have to set everything up physically. Like, I'd have to set the tinfoil out on the floor for Cybertron's floor. And the crappy buildings that I just made out of polystyrene bits that came from TV boxes and stuff. And Autobot House, which is a Barbie house. Stuff like that. You'd have to set that all up and then change scenery. It's not a case of warp to rally to go to a new scene. You have to actually take down, dismantle, and reassemble. And that's not even taking into account the cast that I have to get off my shelves and dust off and pause, stop shooting to transform and then transform back. And it was a fun process. It was just a bit of a tedious process at times. And Dark Savior seemed a lot easier. Plus, Transformers a Soap, at its core, is stupid. It's a parody. There's no two ways about it. It might be more story-driven now, but it is still a piss take. It's like the Family Guy of Transformers, in a way. That's kind of what I'm based it on. Family Guy meets Transformers all those years ago. And so yeah, I kind of gravitated more towards DCUO because it was a lot cleaner to produce. There was also the fact that Dark Savior was a more serious thing for me to do. It wasn't as ridiculous and out there as Transformers the Soap. And there was also the concern about the DCUO servers. I said it in the last video. I have this weird paranoia about how long the servers are going to stay up for, and will I be able to complete my story before the game shuts down. And you know, I realised that's an unfound paranoia because it was starting to rule my life. Not rule my life, but in terms of the project, it was starting to rule that. And it was all, well, what if I don't get my story out? And it became a case of I was forcing myself and trying to rush, and I was putting myself under unjust pressure just to try and get this stuff out. And my main thinking was, when that pertains to Transformers the soap, is that isn't servers. That's not an online thing. That stuff is all in my room and will be there until the day I die, or I get rid of it, which is probably going to be never. The getting rid of it. I mean, I will die eventually. Sorry to be morbid, but the whole point of it was that even when the DCUO server shut down, the Transformer stuff, all the figures on my shelf will still be there, and I can go back to that. All fine and dandy, but then I realised there's one person, Honey513, I want to say. I know it's Honey, Hunny, and then the numbers, I can't quite remember, sorry love. They want to see more of it. And it might only be one person, there's probably people that want to see it, but haven't spoken out about it, but, you know, there's still a demand for it. No matter how small, the demand is there. The demand might only be one person, but it's not an insignificant demand. And so I mean, that added to the pressure as well, because I'm not thinking, well, people want Transformers the soap, let's do Transformers the soap. And then it's like, fuck. I'm digging myself into a deeper hole here. Took a step back, as I said in the Dark Savior State of the Savior address, and I had to think about things. And I've thought about things, and I will be doing Transformers the soap. Thing is, I'm not going to do it in a seasonal format. Much like Dark Savior, this will be something that's done at my own leisure. The stories will be mostly standalone, but it will still be the characters of Transformers the soap, mostly, because I've got a cool little idea to, it doesn't really explain why I've been gone for 2 years from Transformers the soap, but it does. It's like a nice little thing that, you know, could explain it if you chose to decide that. And that is Barry Point, which I will get to at another point, because I'm not quite ready to discuss that in public as much yet. But yeah, there will be some changes. I've been looking at improving my production on it. I've been looking at some hit film for express tutorials and looking for different ways to make the overall product better and mesh more seamlessly. I know all this, shut up. Because there was these things like, you know, it was all still images with voice over the top, but then when I needed movement, like a vehicle movement, it was all green screen and it looked different. So I'm looking at ways to try and make it blend more. And I found some pretty cool little tricks and stuff like that. I'm trying to move away from physical sets and maybe throw some, you know, more green screen background images in. Just to give myself some space, not creatively but physically. That is the, is that Sideswipe there? Hello, Sideswipe. A lot of the stories that I had planned will still, don't know what that means, SS. Not quite a T, but shut up. Yeah, a lot of the stories that I had planned can still go ahead. There are some new stories I've come up with. Some of the stories I did have will be scrapped because, you know, there's no need for them really. But it's still in pre-production, the relaunch and all that jazz. Pardon the pun. But it's going to happen. Transformers the soap will make a return, and I'm looking forward to that. And there might only be 1 or 2 things each year from Transformers the soap, as opposed to 5 or 10 episodes each year. It's going to be done when I feel like doing it, because if I force myself to do it, I won't enjoy it, and it might lead to a inferior product, as opposed to a version that I have enjoyed doing, that I've put love into instead of obligation. So, but I do hope to have something out next year. It's going to take a while because, you know, I need to script and set this shit up, and you know, shoot the thing and find out some space to shoot this stuff in. But yes, there are a lot of cool ideas I have in regards to the series, and I'm looking forward to doing it. I think I've pretty much explained everything here about Transformers the Soap and its eventual return. We are going to, it's going to be an experience, and I can't wait to show you guys. Anyway, I'm going to sign off here. I've been Dezaras Prime, and I'm going to go ahead and shoot my RCW State of Everything address. You shall see me next time.